This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good evening. This is Zafar Iqbal from UK University. Good evening. So we have online Mr. Ismail, yes, and Mr. Legari. Good evening. How are you both? Are you okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are loud and clear. You can continue.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? Last time we did meet, what did we do on strategic management, L01? What was the topic about? Can you remember anything about it? Can you remember any main points? What was the last session? What do you understand by strategic management? What did we discuss?
So basically, we discussed that what the basic outcome would be on the completion of this module, and it was followed
Mm-hmm.
by specific cases that are developed in terms of the feasibility and different tools that
Right.
organizations can use to base their strategy on, and how can they strategize and prepare a strategy using
Right.
those tools. So, yeah, we
What
discussed
kind
a
of tools did
specific
you
case for Apple as well.
Okay. Right. What tools did we say we talked about? Like SWOT analysis? Did we talk about SWOT?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What is SWOT? What do you think SWOT is? What does it stand for? Any ideas?
So it basically is chalking down all your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat and risk that are involved. So in risk,
Right. Very good.
we discuss the threats, so we discuss about the internal and external factors, which include
Okay.
political aspects, economic aspects that can happen and can, uh,
Okay.
the corporations have to mold their decisions as per that. So these were the major
Excellent.
things that were discussed in that lesson.
Nice one. Nice one. So yeah, thank you. So today's session will be on L02. Okay, and the main purpose of the L02 is to talk about strategic options for an organization, strategic options, and we will talk about the relationship between corporate, business, and operational strategies. We'll talk about various models and how we can pick up some strategic options from there. So the key terminology that you'll need is the corporate strategy, business strategy, and operational strategy. Do you know anything about these? Any three of them, or any term that you have come across before? Corporate strategy and business strategy and operational strategy. What do you think they are? Okay. If you don't know, let's talk about them. On the corporate strategy is to develop the plans for a longer term use, for a longer term plan for an organization. It's a basic strategic analysis, developing um, long-term planning for a business organization. Okay, and business strategy is to do with middle level planning, and the operational strategy is to do with day-to-day planning. So when we talk about the corporate strategy, it's longer term planning, and it depends on the mission and long-term objectives of the organization, where the organization wants to go in a couple of years, in 5 years time, 10 years time, longer term. Okay, we talk about the business. If you look at this one here, corporate technology, okay, corporate level strategy, it talks about the highest level of strategy that we develop. And this is the job of the chief executive or the senior management team, who are looking at their missions, who are looking at the vision of the company in X number of years over a longer term period. Okay, they develop the corporate strategy. Where do we want to go from today in 5 years time? Okay, the middle business level technology or business level strategy talks about primarily about organizations strategy within the middle strategy, within the unit strategy, and it's resources based, on limitations on business level with the corporate strategy. Okay, and the last strategy is about the business day-to-day functioning strategy. This is based on the business strategy on operational levels, and these are mainly to do with functions, daily functions, i.e. the departmental level, running of the departmental level strategy, like marketing function, accounting function, operation function, and so on. Okay, so we've got three types of terminology. We've got three types of strategies. They're talking about strategic level, business level, and functional level of strategy. Okay, then we need to talk about the strategic drift. Now, basically, the strategic drift is a shift of a business moving from one point to the other because of the deterioration of competitive action is a result of uh, less modernization, or it doesn't keep up with the technology, or it doesn't develop its products very quickly enough regarding the environment, regarding it doesn't compete with other organizations because they are more competitive and this organization doesn't compete with them, so it will go out of business very quickly. So strategic drift is mainly, it looks at your organization, but it's a change, it's a gradual deterioration of competitive edge over the other organizations. Okay, it happens over a longer term period when the company cannot compete with others, when it cannot compete with others on the basis of the design, on the basis of new products, on the basis of new invention, on the basis of other factors. Okay, for example, Kodak was very popular at one time, but it didn't keep up with the technology, so it went out of business compared to other companies in the same type of business. Okay, Nokia as well, they didn't really move on to their producing new goods and services because it couldn't keep up with the developments, external factors, so they went overtaken, or they went out of business. So if you look at the strategic drift, is shifting of shifting really, it's shifting from good products to a worse product, and then closure and out of business. So it's got some couple of phases there. It's phase one, phase two, phase three, and phase four. Okay, where we see there's an international there's incremental change of strategic drift compared to the external environment. So business falls because of the problem with external. With its pestle, last time we said pestle is political and external factors like technology or legalistic or other factors that are affecting the organization, and the organization cannot compete. Okay, or it doesn't really invest in the products, or it doesn't it doesn't change from its own strategic level. So therefore, as a result of the strategic drift, it will go out of business very quickly. Okay, are you with me, Ismail and Mr.
Yes, we
Ismail?
are with you. We are with you.
And what's his name, Ismail, and the other student, I forgot his name. Hasham, are you there? Okay, so one of the tools that we can use in order to become effective, and how we can utilize this strategic planning, is to look at the cost benefit analysis. Now, the simply put in this way, is cost benefit analysis is to do with what benefit will you get by investing so much money? Will you be able to get your return on your investment? What percentage of investment return will you get on a certain particular project, and so on. Okay, so basically the cost benefit analysis is how much is going to cost you, what benefit are you going to get, and how much, and is it worth investing. So basically we're talking about some kind of analysis, which is called the cost benefit analysis. And this has become about the cost benefit analysis become about by French engineer Jules Dupont, okay, and he invented, or he talked about the cost benefit analysis. So example of a cost benefit analysis is, for example, if you invest in a project, in a machinery, buying a machinery over a longer term period, what return will you get from the machinery? Is it worth investing in that machinery, or is it worth less? You understand? Okay, so we're talking about some kind of methods such as payback method, or internal rate of returns, or accounting rate of return, in order, or what's called discounted cash flow. We need to really look at the benefits against the costs. Okay, how long it'll take us to recover our own original investment. Okay, and how. So this is one of the tools we use in order to stay competitive, in order to stay strategic planning, in order to progress further. Okay, you okay there? So this is basically strategic drift. We can look at the strategic drift according to the CBA analysis. So this is one tool. The second tool we can use is sensitivity analysis. Now, sensitivity analysis is the external factors, the uncertain factors, or the decision making factors, which will tell us what if something happens, how we can be competitive, how we can stay competitive, what happens if certain things go wrong, then what will we do. Okay, so sensitivity analysis. Okay, so for example, a manager wants to buy an investment, or want to invest in a certain particular machinery. What happens if the we don't get enough people to buy the products? Okay, what happens if the government puts up our taxes? What happens if the selling price of this product goes up and we can't sell those units we planned for? So what happens? So these are sensitivity analysis, what if questions. Okay, so when we are planning our uh, basic options, we need to look at these tools. Okay, and
Yes, exactly.
you hear me? Okay. Okay. So that was to do with 1.1. Your assignment requires you will require you to look at 1.1, and the 1.1 basically looks at um, your relationship between corporate and business, and functional or departmental um, level strategy. Okay, and we can do that by two or three tools. Okay, so have a look at this. Okay, moving forward. Okay, so the corporate strategy is looks at the longer term, and the business level strategy looks at the middle term, and the functional strategy looks at the shorter term, or day-to-day running of the business. Then we come on to look at the Henry Mintzberg strategy. One of the strategies you can use is look at the strategy that Mintzberg used in order to plan these strategies. Okay, and he said there are five P's of a strategy: plan, ploy, pattern, position, and perspective. What does it mean? It means that for example, companies, when they plan, they look at the other positions, they look at the competitors, they look at their strategy, and they plan according to the, development of the other. So if you look at the plan, this is a step-by-step planning, and every firm creates a strategic plan. Ploy denotes a move, a specific move by other competitors, so that you you plan according to their move. For example, if they move X, you move into Y direction. And if they do, for example, lowering a price, you try and cut price on the other side as well. So you look at their move, how they are planning, and then you plan accordingly. Okay, and so you can look at the pattern, position, and perspective. Okay, how we can do that is we can apply strategic models, strategic tools, and one of the tools again is we look at the, in order to look at the strategic options, is we look at the ANSEF's model, which is 2x2 matrix, or what's it called, um, you know it's called the ANSOF's matrix, or market expansion, or is also known as the product matrix. So can you see these four quadrants? Can you see the four boxes when I'm talking about this here? Applying strategic models, ANSOF's model, which is a very famous model, which looks at market, product, four quadrants, existing markets and into new markets. So let me explain what does these quadrants mean, okay, and how we can apply this. So if you look at this model, the first box, in other words, which is saying this one here, okay, which is saying existing product into existing market. Okay, so the first one, this one here, can you see this box, please, Ismail? This box here. Okay, so this is one strategy when we planning the strategic options, when we planning the new strategy. One of the strategies that the company can adopt is look at the existing market and existing product. So this is known as the penetration. So the first box, if you look at this, is the penetration strategy they can use, which is known as the existing products in existing markets, and that's known as the marketing penetration, i.e. you dig a hole in the current market so that you sell your products. No matter what happens, you just look at the current market, and you look at the you try and penetrate into the hole so that your products are sold within the existing market. Okay, so one thing how we can use the existing market for existing products is to look at the maybe pricing strategy. We can use, for example, lowering of prices, for example, so that we can compete in the market. That's one strategy when penetrating in the products. Okay, another way we can penetrate into the market is to improve our distribution channels, invest more in marketing, maybe more advertising, maybe offer, for example, buy one and get one free products. Okay, or maybe you can change your existing production capacity. For example, if you increase your production capacity, that might have an effect on the prices and the so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the way the existing market we can capture on the existing market, and so making sure that you give a lot of discounts to the distributors, maybe offer more to the customers, discounts, and so on. Okay, in order to utilize the current market. Okay, the second box, or the second box, is the product development, i.e. we produce new products into the existing market. So this one, if you look at this box here, new products, which is new, these ones here, product development, new products into the existing market. So this is the first two boxes. Okay, so we talked about the existing products into the existing markets by penetrating. we talking about the existing, we are talking about the existing market. We're talking about existing market by product development, i.e. we produce some kind of a new products into the existing market. So therefore we don't have to look for more markets. So for example, companies could use this model, so to increase customers based, to increase new products, to look at the new markets. So therefore we produce more products onto the market. For example, Apple tried to produce more products into the market by selling a variation of products like mobiles, like laptops, or maybe desktops or iPhones, or a variation of iPhones. So they utilize the current market, okay, so to launch the new product. So this one is a classic example of Apple. Other companies will also use maybe research and development to come up with new and innovative products into the market. Okay, if you look at the third corner, if you, or what you call it, the second top, box, which is here, is one new products into the what you call it, the existing market. Now, what does mean by new products in the existing markets is, or sorry, not new products into the existing market, existing products into the new market. So what you're doing now is you are using product development. Are you costing a lot of money on producing a lot of goods and services? You are looking for new markets, you're looking for new customers, you're looking for new people, okay, but your products are existing products in new markets. So this is quite a risky strategy. This is quite risky because you're testing the water, you're testing the market. Maybe the market isn't there, okay, but the products are there. Okay, this is to get new customers or new segments of customers. For example, if you're talking about Coca-Cola and they have some new products, but they have some new customers, they've got to look for new customers, like for example young, how they market their products to young people, to old people, to family, and so on and so forth. So they need to develop these new products, new markets for them. In other words, by variation of products, or maybe then look for new markets for existing products because they want to move on to the new markets. For example, another example is IKEA. For example, IKEA is to want to sell more products into new markets. So therefore, this strategy is is good for the newer products. However, it's going to be quite costly and quite challenging. Okay, so the last quadrant is diversification, which is new products into the new markets, which is quite risky, and it takes a long time to develop, and it takes a long time to come about, because the cost of finding new products, cost of finding new markets is very risky. It takes a long time to develop a product. It takes a long time to develop a market. It takes a long time to test the market, and so on and so forth. So it's a new products into the new market, and very, very risky. So when so these answer strategy basically talks about these four quadrants. Okay, so let's summarize. So the first thing, if you look at the answer strategy, he says when we are applying the strategic models, we can look for market products, existing products into the existing markets, so that it doesn't cost much, but however we can increase our customer base. Okay, then second one, so this is the least what you call risky. Okay, so market penetration is the least risky business. Second, less risky is new product into existing market, because you know the customers and you know the base, but it's a bit less riskier. Okay, the more riskier are these here, new product, new market into the existing products, and the last one is the new products into the new market. So these are the 4 strategies the companies can use when launching or when diversifying or when they're making the new strategies. Okay, any question? So basically the NCFE model is quite a challenging one, and it's a very tried and tested model. Okay, large companies use new products and new developments into the market by diversifying and by investing a lot of markets, particularly pharmaceuticals, and maybe chemicals or petrochemicals, you know, because you need a lot of investment, so therefore the restriction on entry and so on and so forth. Okay, so are you okay on this? Any question on this? 2.2. Are we okay? Excuse me, Ismail, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. It's okay.
Okay, is that Larib?
Yes.
You joined us late, yeah? Are you okay?
Yeah, I joined 15 minutes at
All right.
8:15.
Okay, no problems. Okay, so what we talked about in the last few minutes, we talked about the 4 type of strategies that companies can develop, companies can use in order to produce longer term strategy. Okay, so product development, penetration, market development, and diversification. Okay, so these are the 4
Yes.
strategic options they can go for. Okay, so looking at the strategic options, what type of how we can evaluate those options. Once we've done those options, we can evaluate them. Okay, and we can move on to strategic choices. Now strategic choice is means what type of options do we have, okay, which direction are we going to go, and the method of growth. Okay, so if you look at this slide here, strategic choice, so strategic choice talks about how to compete, which is the using the Porter's model, which is the 5 forces model, which we talked about. And then which direction are we going to go, looking at the NCFE model, which is talked about the strategies for 4 quadrants we just talked about, and the method of growth with the type of growth we're going to go by, for example, acquisition or mergers or integration or internal growth or external growth. Okay, so these will give us some choices, and then we pick up the best choice, and then we evaluate those choices. Eventually we implement them and then recommend or test them and so on. Okay, so the strategic planning is very important. So strategic planning, we need to make sure that our resources are there. We make sure that we've got the capacity to do that. We've got the resources, we've got the stakeholders, we've got the goals and objectives and the mission and strategy, objectives and mission, and everything is in place. Okay, so when we're talking about the planning process here, it starts with your mission and aims and missions, vision. Okay, then we need to establish the objectives. Then we look at the SWOT analysis, internal and external. We talked with the stakeholders. Then we look at the options and we choices, and we pick up the choices, evaluate them, implement them, and review them. And then if we need to make any amendments, we go back again. Okay, so this is the whole planning process, strategic planning process, and the companies will do that all the time. Okay, this is one method of planning. Okay, AFI, which is the analysis framework. Okay, and we talked about the SWOT analysis last week. Okay, we look at the market intelligence and assessment. So this is the analysis bit 3, and then we look at the models, and then we customer evaluation. So this is second strategic plan, and then evaluation and implementation. Okay, another method we can use is the balance scorecard. We look at the where we look at the financial, we look at the business processes, we look at the customers, and we look at the learning and growth model, and we can develop the strategy according to our own need. So financial, in other words, for example, do we have the resources, do we have the money, do we have the know-how, do we have the investment returns, and so on and so forth. We need to look at that. Business processes looks at the the resources in human resources, capacities, and internal resources that we have. Do we have enough products? Do we have enough intelligence? Do we have cycle? Do we have enough cycle time to produce goods and services? Then we need to look at the customers. Do we have customers? Have we got excellent base, or we bad base, or no base whatsoever? Have we got the customer relationships? Then is the company HR, is the company a learning company, or is it changing itself or not? Okay, so these are the strategic planning. When we need to look at these elements in detail. Okay, another model you can use this cause and effect diagram, but I'm not going to go in details. Okay, next, moving on. As we said, this is the planning process. We talked about the strategic position and the strategic choices and the strategic implementation when you plan. Okay, when we planning, so you can look at that when we look at some kind of case studies. Okay, then we come on to look at the resource-based model. Resource-based model is one of the other models that is used by organizations, which looks at the competitive advantage, resource base with competitive edge with the other organizations. And this is one model you can use so that you can stay competitive in organizations competitiveness. Okay, there's another model which is VRIO over IO. Okay, which is looks at the, again, competitive advantage against the environment, and one of the models that developed by Barney, right, which was here, which is called the VRIO model. Okay, it looks at 4 VRIO. Okay, value chain analysis, BCG matrix, and you look at these models. Okay, we also, again, we looks at the competitive advantage so that you can stay competitive against the other competitors. So you can have a look at this. I think you can read a little bit about this. Okay, so basically, because it's an hour's lecture, okay, we basically today what we talked about is the types of models you can use to develop your analysis. So we started off with learning outcome, which was to look at the learning outcome number 2, which is to do with your be able to appraise strategic options for an organization. Okay, so strategic options are different options for different organizations, and we talked about the corporate strategy, we talked about the business strategy, we talked about the operational strategy. So we said the corporate strategy is a long-term strategy, the business strategy is the short medium-term strategy, and the operational strategy is the day-to-day strategy. This depends. So corporate strategy is developed by the top executives, the senior management team, or the chief executives, or the directors. The middle strategy, which is business strategy, is developed by at the supervisor level or maybe middle manager level, and the operational strategy is developed through functional level. Okay, so that's what we said, corporate strategy. Okay, how we can develop these? We can develop these strategies by looking at the strategic drift, because the company is no longer competitive in the market, and so therefore the companies who don't stay competitive because of the other factors, because of the factors developed against their competition, because of the lack of technology, because of their lack of knowledge, because they are not willing to change, so they go out of business. So strategic drift is much about they don't stay competitive, they go out of business, okay, because they fail to change themselves according to the situation outside. So that's mainly a strategic drift means. So you look at this slide when you do some reading afterwards. Okay, we talked about also the cost benefit analysis, which is looking at the cost against your benefits. If you want to invest in a Mercedes, is the Mercedes going to benefit you in the longer term? Is it going to give you a good return because you want to keep it for a longer term, and then you sell it, and will it give enough return? If you invest in a particular project, will it give you a return on a particular in a particular time frame of work? Okay, so the cost benefit analysis tells you basically, is it worth investing in a particular project, and will it be profitable within the time span that you want to develop it in? Okay, and there are various methods that are developed. One of the methods is payback. Another one is the for example, cash flow discounts. Another one is discounted cash flow method, internal rate of return, accounting rate of return. These are the methods you can judge by. Okay, then also we looked at sensitivity analysis, i.e. the external factors, what if factors. If you develop your mission, if you develop your project, if you develop your strategy according to this particular model, what if happens something doesn't work out according to your plan? What if? Yeah, so this is basically what if questions. Okay, then we looked at moving on to the other strategy. We looked at the NCFE model. Okay, here, which one? This one, the NCFE model, applying strategic models. Basically, you're choosing models that are applicable to your organization products. So basically, there are 4 models that you can use. The first one is, we talked about the market, existing markets, existing products. Then you got existing markets for new products. Then we got new market for existing products, and then we got new products for new markets. Okay, so this is the first quadrant is the penetration model. The second one is the product development. The third one is the market development, and the fourth one is market diversification. Okay, the first model, which is the existing, which is the penetration, is the least risky, and diversification is the most risky, because you're developing new products into the new markets, and they are very risky, and you don't know what products going to succeed or fail. Okay, and in the middle is the market development and the product development. Okay, so you need to read up a little bit on these ANSOF strategy, which is very famous strategy, and you must look at the reading, and so therefore you can. Okay, once you develop those strategies, you need to look at the planning option, i.e. which is the good model and which is the best model, or which is economical model, and you can begin to develop some kind of choices. Okay, so the choices will depend on your models. So growth, are you looking for growth? Are you looking for diversification? Are you looking for being competitive? How to how to compete? Which type of competition you're going to go for? Are you going to be how are you going to grow and compete? Okay, so there are 3 types of models that you can have, like Porter's model, ANSOF strategy, or the acquisition and mergers and integration and diversification. So these are your methods of strategic choices. Okay, so then these are the process of strategic marketing, strategic planning process. And we said, the strategic planning depends on the mission, and looking at the model of objectives and mission, strategy, vision, you begin to look at the choices, you begin to appraise choices, you begin to evaluate those choices, you begin to implement those choices, and you begin to evaluate and implement and look at the best model, and therefore, you know, implement them afterwards. Okay, we looked at other AFI models, strategic planning. You can look at the financial aspects of these, look at the market intelligence, look at the assessments and SWOT analysis, which we talked about last week. And the middle, these two are a strategic planning process, or the market customer validation. This is the same as choices. And the last one is evaluation and developing of strategy. Okay. Another method you can develop is the balanced scorecard, cause and effect. Okay. And one of the gurus of strategic planning or strategic strategy is John Scholes, Johnson and Scholes, who happened to be my teacher in the past. Okay, so therefore these people had developed a kind of you know strategic planning, and they developed the subject into more readable matter, so on and so forth. Okay, I think if there's you can look at the VRIO or VRIO model if you want to go in further details, please. Okay, there are some references which is very important. This is Ansoff strategy. You can look at the Barneys. You can look up a tutor to you and smart sheet. Okay, and look up at the tutor to you.net. Okay, and therefore if you want to research more, I would suggest you go and look at the Johnson and Scholes book on strategic analysis, strategic management. They have written lots of material on there. Okay, hello, are you okay? Are we
Yes.
okay? Okay, any question now? I think any question, Lareb, Ismail, and we have Hasham. Has he gone? Rabia, Lareb, Hasham, Mr. Hasham. Any question on what we've done today? We mainly talked about the LO2, okay, which is the LO2 to do with your assignment, but we not talked about your assignment as yet. This is to do with your you know study, okay, but it's mainly to do with your learning outcome 02. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Hello. Okay, so any question on strategic management, any question on SWOT analysis, any question on answer strategy, any question on how we develop strategic options? Can you, any questions, any questions on, so whatever we discussed, anything that you want to ask me? If I can answer, I will do. If I can't answer, then I'll ask someone else to tell me the answer and then pass it on to you. Are you okay? Rabia, Lareb, and Hasham, are you still there, or it's nearly 5? It's 5 o'clock, 5:03. Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
Or can you, does it take long to respond? Is it very slow voice transmission is very slow, is it?
No, sir. Transmission is fine. I really
Okay.
don't have any questions, so I just dropped a message over there in the chat.
Okay, what about Hisham? What about Hisham? And what about Larib? Any question, Larib? Hisham?
No, sir. No question.
This is not Hisham. Has he gone? Has he muted or what's he doing? Is this Rabi I'm talking to or Larib?
I'm Lare.
Oh, you're Larib. Okay. And Rabia, is she joined us today only? Is she or was she here last week? Okay, I'm logged out. Rabia, right? Okay. Okay, Hasham. Uh, okay. Right. If there is no any question, can I just stop the recording?
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to be doing next lesson, we talk about L03, learning outcome number 3.
Okay.
Then we'll have another session on LO4, and then we'll talk about LO5, I think. And then, of course, we'll talk about the assignment and how many words that you need to do, and when you need to submit the assignment and how.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.